Gene usually stated, "I do now not consider legacy. I simply desire humans take into account me as a person who attempted to do suitable artwork. You'll be remembered for that, and for therefore tons more. Rest in peace, my buddy Gene Hackman became extra." Then just an actor he grew to be a Hollywood icon, a celebrity able to turning any person right into a legend. When statistics of his passing spread, Hollywood modified into, now not best mourning, but also in surprise a display legend had departed this. International alongside his partner Betsy Arakawa under mysterious conditions. But what left the overall public, even greater stunned, turned into now, not simply the loss itself, however the accounts from the ones closest to Hackman. This is not as clean. As humans think a close source found out, there are matters approximately Gene Hackman that the public in no way knew. What took place in that residence would possibly make us all rethink how we view his final days. These cryptic feedback best fueled a wave of questions. What simply took place in Gene Hackman's ultimate moments? Was this a natural passing? Or are there secrets and techniques? Hollywood isn't always ready to face attributes poured within the experience. Of bewilderment remained Clint Eastwood, a longtime pal of Hackman, surely said, "There grow to be no greater actor than Gan, but this is simply too baffling." Gene Hackman's passing does no longer simply mark the stop of a golden era in cinema. It leaves in the back of endless unanswered questions. But earlier than delving into the mysteries surrounding his dying, permits take a glance at Hollywood's and the movie corporation's reactions to this unexpected occasion. As information of Gene Hackman's death along collectively with his spouse, Betsy Arakawa, spread, Hollywood turned out to be not best in mourning, but additionally gripped through an indescribable feel of unease. A cinematic legend with a storied profession, a guy who had stood in the spotlight for over half of a century had now departed, quietly without an unmarried farewell, at the 97th Academy Awards. Morgan Freeman's voice trembled as he said Hackman. For the duration of the in memoriam segment. Our network has out of place a giant, and I actually have misplaced a dear friend. Applause crammed the room in tribute. However, all and sundry understood that no phrases have to virtually seize the price of a Hackman, a performer who usually placed his characters above himself, reworking each position into a piece of cinematic statistics. Clint Eastwood, who had collaborated with Hackman on the masterpiece Unforgiven, talked about him with the most apprehend there. Emerge as no actor greater than Gan He had, the instincts of a genius in no manner a false moment in his performances. I will pass over him dearly. Francis Ford Coppola, the director of The Conversation, described Hackman as an actor you come upon as soon as in a whole life, a person who need to make you believe in any character he have turned out to be. Yet underneath these tributes, a lingering unease remained. Hackman had withdrawn from Hollywood in 2004, disappearing nearly simply from public life, deciding on a quiet lifestyles in New Mexico. Had declined all interviews, in no way returning to the display. Now not even for a cameo. When news of his passing was showed, many started out to surprise had Gene Hackman usually acknowledged that this can be the way he left this global silently without fanfare, truly as he had vanished from Hollywood a long term. Earlier, Tom Hanks called Hackman a actual gem of American cinema. Glenn Close admitted, "I honestly have in no way seen anyone act the way he did. There was something approximately Gene that pulled you in, as though he have become continually hiding a part of his soul on display screen." Meanwhile, film critic Peter Bradshaw of The Guardian declared Hackman's passing marks the surrender of one of the great eras in American cinema. He wasn't only a fantastic actor, he delivered a depth and authenticity to his roles that became extraordinary. This loss isn't surely the give up of a lifestyles, it is the closing of an technology, but grief isn't always the handiest sentiment, lingering inside the air as info surrounding Hackman's dying slowly start to floor. The sorrow is step-by-step giving manner to unanswered questions. Gene Hackman's passing has no longer handiest left Hollywood in mourning, however has additionally raised a chain of unanswered questions. While many believed he had selected a non-violent life far away from the spotlight, the mysterious times surrounding his and his spouse Betsy Arakawa's death left the general public unsettled. There were no symptoms of forced entry, no proof of violence. Yet our bodies had been determined in separate rooms, Hackman's demise become determined to have took place on February 17th, almost 9 days earlier than they had been. Discovered a period goodbye that it begs the question, why did no person observed that they had disappeared Hackman's long time? Pal Daniel Lenihan discovered that in latest months the actor's health had seemed to decline extensively. He had stopped his each-day biking ordinary something. He had continued even into his 90s. Arakawa, referred to as a devoted associate, had been doing the entirety she might also need to shield him specifically amid ongoing health issues. But if Hackman had clearly been in deteriorating fitness, why did nobody recognize? Why did no person check on them quicker? Details from the scene have most effective, deepened the thriller. One of their 3 dogs turn out to be found lifeless close to the bathroom on the identical time as the opportunity. 2 survived. Authorities located no symptoms and signs and symptoms of a ruin in or any clean indicators of what introduced approximately their deaths. Prescription remedy changed into decided scattered close to Arakawa's body, but became this merely a twist of destiny? Or is there something extra we do not, however, recognize? The lack of transparency in the preliminary reports has fueled hypothesis. Some take delivery of as real, with Hackman can also additionally have handed away first, and that Arakawa, overwhelmed with grief, couldn't endure the loss. Others suspect that a shared fitness condition can also have affected them, every concurrently. On social media, conspiracy theories have spread swiftly, beginning from the possibility of an undisclosed contamination to hypothesis that Hackman may have seemed his time have become coming. But amid all of the speculation, one simple reality stays. Gene Hackman's loss of life does now not simply mark the loss of a legend. It leaves behind a profound mystery, but to be solved. As questions retained to mount, authorities continue to be at paintings to find the fact. But is there a revelation that would trade how we prehend Gene Hackman's final days? And greater importantly, will that fact ever be found out, as rumors surrounding the mysterious passing of Gene Hackman persevered to swirl respectable evaluations from the studies, have only raised extra questions. On February 26, 2025, a maintenance worker from their residential network wherein Hackman and his wife Betsy Arakawa lived grew involved after being unable to touch them. A enjoy of unease crept in as he peered via a window and determined Hackman's lifeless body mendacity. Motionless inside the entryway, authorities were immediately known as to the scene. Upon getting into the house, they determined a second body, Betsy Arakawa, lying within the bathroom. The domestic changed into eerily quiet without a signs of wear or violence. However, one tremendous element became located close to Arakawa's body. Several prescription medicinal capsules, along with those for high blood pressure and thyroid troubles, pills had been scattered at the desk like missing pieces of an incomplete puzzle. No one is aware of precisely how they exceeded. However, one thing is certain. They were there for days, disregarded via all and sundry. Shortly after, the bodies of Gene Hackman and his spouse, Betsy Arakawa, were located. The Santa Fe County Police launched an investigation to determine the cause in their deaths. The scene confirmed no signs and symptoms of forced entry or any shape of disturbance. The family remained intact, and no longer the usage of evidence of violence or struggle. A preliminary forensic record showed that neither Hackman nor Arakawa had any outside injuries, nor have been there signs of attack or the usage of strain. This led government to rule out the opportunity of foul play. One of the initial theories taken into consideration by means of way of investigators have become carbon monoxide poisoning, a commonplace motive of surprising deaths in enclosed areas. Fire branch officials achieved a thorough inspection of the home to test for any leaks from the heating gadget. However, effects showed no strains of carbon monoxide within the air or in the toxicology samples from Hackman and Arakawa. This most effective deepened the thriller. If no outside factors have been worried, what had virtually befell internal that house? A soar ahead in the investigation got here from information retrieved from Gene Hackman's pacemaker analysis, determined out that his coronary heart had stopped beating on February 17th, nearly 9 days earlier. Then his frame grow to be discovered. This showed that Hackman had been deceased for numerous days before the preservation worker raised the alarm. But an extra pressing question emerged. What had happened to Betsy Arakawa within the days that observed? If Hackman had handed away on February 17th, why had no one located something uncommon, and extra importantly, why had Arakawa no longer known as for emergency offerings or sought help? One principle indicates that Arakawa may moreover have experienced an extreme health crisis following her husband's death. She may additionally need to have suffered from exhaustion, mental wonder, or a surprising scientific difficulty that left her unable to behave. At the scene, investigators observed several prescription medicinal drugs near her frame together with the ones for high blood stress and thyroid troubles. However, there was no clean evidence of an overdose or any unintended misuse of drugs. Another difficult element on the scene further fueled speculation. Inside the house, officials located that one of the couple's 3 dogs had also died while the opposite 2 remained alive. This raised a sequence of questions. Was there something of their dwelling environment that had impacted their health, or turned into the dog's death simply an unrelated coincidence, with all the accumulated proof? Government have multiplied their search, exploring factors ranging from underlying clinical situations to capability environmental risks. But one factor stays nice. The passing of Gene Hackman and Betsy Arakawa isn't always just a tragic loss, it is a lingering thriller that has but to be completely explained. Gene Hackman did no longer sincerely leave at the back of a mythical career. He became a guy of decisive picks, residing each section of his lifestyles to the fullest. As statistics of his and his partner Betsy Arakawa's mysterious death spread, many recalled that Hackman had disappeared from Hollywood in 2004, a rare preference for a superstar of his stature. Gene Hackman emerged as no longer truly an actor. He changed into a cinematic icon, a guy who breathed lifestyles and intensity into every man or woman he portrayed. With a career spanning over 50 years, Hackman left an indelible mark on Hollywood information, handing over performances that ranged from gritty and immoderate to simply iconic in a number of the most celebrated films of all time. Born on January 30th, 1930 in San Bernardino, California, Gene Hackman did no longer have a clean start. His dad and mom divorced even as he became young, and he spent most of his formative years residing along with his mother. At just 16, he joined the United States Marine Corps. But after leaving the issuer, he struggled with abnormal jobs before locating out to pursue his ardor for performing. He enrolled at the Pasadena Playhouse, wherein he met Dustin Hoffman, some other aspiring actor. Both were initially neglected, even classified as missing the skills to turn out to be specialists. But Hackman became undeterred. He moved to New York, performing in small theater productions, slowly developing a call for himself. Hackman's soar ahead came in 1967, collectively with his role as Buck Barrow in Bonnie and Clyde. The movie changed into a huge fulfillment, earning him his first Academy Award nomination for Satisfactory Supporting Actor. From that second, his career took off en masse. It changed into, in 1971, that Hackman absolutely ascended to Hollywood's A-list. His position as Detective Jimmy Popey Doyle in The French Connection, now not best, won him his first Oscar, but moreover set a new favored for difficult, unrelenting police characters in cinema. The film's gripping chase sequences and Hackman's raw performance cemented The French Connection as one of the greatest crime movies of all time. Hackman continued to show his variety within the years that followed. He achieved a haunted surveillance professional in Francis Ford Coppola's The Conversation 1974, a film wealthy in intellectual tension and ethical dilemmas. He also took at the feature of Lex Luthor in Superman 1978, bringing a combination of intelligence, threat, and humor to without a doubt one of cinema's maximum memorable villains. The 80s and 1990s noticed Hackman live on the pinnacle of his recreation. He obtained his second Academy Award for Unforgiven 1992, Clint Eastwood's legendary Western, wherein he accomplished Little Bill Daggett, a ruthless but complex sheriff who left a long-lasting effect on audiences. He additionally starred in critically acclaimed films including Mississippi Burning 1988, The Firm 1993, Crimson Tide 1995, and Enemy of the State 1998. Entering the 21st century, Hackman persisted to deliver standout performances, specifically within the Royal Tenenbaums 2001, in which he done a deeply flawed, however fascinating patriarch Hackman professional marriages in his lifetime. He married Fees in 1956, and they had 3 youngsters, Christopher, Elizabeth, and Leslie Hackman, Their almost three-decade-long marriage resulted in divorce in 1986. He later met Betsy Arakawa, a pianist, and that they married in 1991. This marked a turning factor in Heist's existence as he progressively stepped away from Hollywood to include a quieter lifestyles in New Mexico. Betsy remained with the useful resource of his fascinate, his later years away from the spotlight taking part in a simple life together. In 2004, Hackman announced his retirement last the bankruptcy on an illustrious profession that spanned over 80 movies. He committed his time to a newfound passion writing. He co-authored numerous historic and journey novels, an issue of his existence that many had been blind to. In his later years, he maintained a habitual of daily cycling, embracing nature and guidance clean of Hollywood's chaos now that he is lengthy past. The arena is best starting to recognize the complete extent of his legacy. Hackman did not just leave within the lower back of unforgettable films. He left behind an extremely good life story. From a formative years marked through abandonment through years of conflict to turning into one of the greatest actors in cinematic facts, his journey was no longer something short of fantastic, and even as the occasions of his death remain shrouded in mystery, one undeniable fact stands. Gene Hackman lived a lifestyles well worth of admiration. Gene Hackman left this global as quietly as hell left Hollywood a long time in the past. Yet, although he's no longer present, his legacy will live on all the time. From his iconic roles and prestigious awards to the deep apprehend of buddies, colleagues, and enthusiasts, Hackman have become greater than simply an actor. He ended up an icon at a term whose effect on cinematic records remains indelible. However, because the curtain falls on his lifestyles, the stories at the back of the scenes are an extended way from over. What is truly surprising is the complete silence from Hackman's three youngsters from his first marriage, Christopher, Elizabeth, and Leslie Hackman, following his loss of life. No statements, no tributes, not even a why. Unmarried public acknowledgement of their father's passing. While Hollywood and the relaxation of the sector mourn his loss, their silence cuts via the sorrow like a blade, elevating infinite questions. Were there fractures inside the Hackman circle of relatives that the general public never knew approximately, or are they clearly expecting the proper moment to speak? The state of affairs will become even extra complicated, while the issue of inheritance is brought into question. With a profession spanning over 50 years, Hackman accrued agent fortune alongside actual property, movie royalties, and private investments, yet no information about his will have been made public. Will Heist's entire property visit, Betsy Arakawa, who passed away along him, or will criminal disputes emerge among his youngsters and his spouse's own family? Some assets advise that underlying tensions may additionally have existed for years, and Hackman's loss of life can be the catalyst that brings those conflicts to the floor. A legend has surpassed, but the mystery surrounding him is best starting to spread. If the real motive in the back of Hackman and his spouse's deaths stays doubtful, then the tale of his legacy is now entering a state-of-the-art bankruptcy, one that could not be approximately Hollywood glamour. However, a conflict filled with controversy amongst the ones he left at the back of. Is his children's silence the calm in advance than the storm? Or are they virtually deciding on to keep privacy for a father who spent his lifestyles keeping off useless interest? The solutions may moreover fast be revealed, proving that the story of Gene Hackman is some distance from over. What do you consider the mysterious passing of Gene Hackman? Is this merely an unfortunate accident? Or are there hidden truths yet to be exposed? Does the silence of Hackman's youngsters make you query the own family dynamics he left in the back of? And with the difficulty of his inheritance still unresolved, ought to a prison struggle beyond the horizon? Share your thoughts in the comments underneath. Do you take delivery of as genuine with all of the mysteries surrounding Gene Hackman will in the end be unraveled? Don't forget about to hit like and enroll in live up to date in this unfolding tale and to discover more behind the scenes revelations about Hollywood legends.